Hello there, Commonwealth Realm here, and we guess it is time to talk about Nintendo's most popular service again and how Nintendo wants us to more than double our money for Nintendo Switch Online to get the full experience. With Nintendo Switch Online getting an upgrade with the expansion pack, Nintendo finally had their chance to give details on the newly minted service and what improvements and additions it would provide. Right from the get-go, there was trouble brewing in paradise. The pricing is, simply put, not great. But to properly understand it, we first have to go over how it differs from the basic plan of Nintendo Switch Online. So be sure to leave a like, as we will show you this multi-class online service at its greediest, but also how you can beat it with a clever plan using the family membership option. And if you like more videos like this one, then subscribe and press that notification bell. About Nintendo Switch Online. Basic. The original features which you get for $19.99 or euros will remain available on a yearly plan basis. This gets you the NES and SNES games, online play, access to Nintendo Switch Online app, cloud saves, and special offers. The basic plan can also be purchased in a month or 3-month option, depending on your daily needs with a Nintendo Switch. A yearly family plan is available for $34.99 and can be purchased on a year basis. The good thing is that you can split the cost with up to 7 of your friends, making this the ideal way to pay. If you already have the basic plan and are upgrading for the first time, you will pay an additional cost depending on how many days there are still remaining on your license. In other words, if you already have an active annual Nintendo Switch Online subscription, you will not pay the full price, as this price will be reduced with up to $20 or euros for the individual membership or up to $35/euros for the family membership, meaning that you will have to pay $30 or $45 extra in the US right from the get-go. It is important to note that the expansion pack version is only available on a yearly basis. This means that people who are subscribed in smaller increments will likely not benefit from the upgrade offer. And we are aware that this corresponds in the case of the individual membership to $4 per month. But actually it doesn't, since this is an annual subscription where you cannot cancel after a month or even 10. You pay upfront up to $50, and that is a one-time expense that goes right away. And then we don't even count the $50 for the Nintendo Switch Online Nintendo 64 controller, and another $50 for the SEGA Mega Drive/Genesis controller, meaning that if you want to play Nintendo 64 and SEGA games with the right controllers, you have to go out with $150 come October 25th. That is not a low amount of money. Like seriously, who of us would have thought that the expansion pack version of Nintendo Switch Online would have had the same price as each of the 2 controllers? This is straight out greedy for a service where the online quality and performance still leaves much to be desired compared to PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live, and definitely Xbox Game Pass. And the first one of these is slightly above at $60 per year and still leaves much to be desired compared to Xbox Game Pass. And this is where the question of pricing is, along with another issue, namely that there is no option to get the NSO expansion pack without the Animal Crossing New Horizons Happy Home Paradise DLC for a lower price. Not a game, but DLC to a game you have to buy separately for $60 if you don't own it. And you are not keeping the DLC, you are streaming it for as long as your expansion pack subscription remains active. Speaking of the yearly price, they differ per region. American solo customers will be paying $49.99, while Europeans are somehow getting a slightly better deal at $39.99. This is the first time in a while where both continents are using a completely different pricing scheme. Normally, they don't scale and even disregard how the currencies operate in the market. And fittingly enough, corresponds with the recent Switch basic price cut due to currency difference between yen, US dollar, and euro. These changes are less severe with the expansion pack family plan. Europeans pay $69.99, while Americans will shell out $79.99 for 8 people. And here is the potential solution. If you can set it up with a group of your friends, the cost could potentially come down to $10 per person if you get 8 people to join. It is still a staggering increase, but perfectly doable if you can find the right people. Even with 4 or 5 people, it will bring the costs down quite considerably compared to the individual membership. The situation really depends on the wants and needs. A group of friends can still enjoy everything the Switch has to offer, just for slightly more than 3 months of the basic plan. That being said though, who in their right mind is going to pay for a solo membership in this scenario? Well, for one, people who aren't as internet savvy as all of us. Or worse, people who simply can't find anyone to team up with for a family membership. If you aren't impacted by any of this, you can't claim that the optics are looking particularly good. The fact that this high default option is present for a singular expansion pack user is frankly insanity. You can't spread it out like with the normal plan, forcing your hand in purchasing a year's worth of Nintendo Switch Online. The lack of flexibility is frankly a bit astonishing. The solo user will be stuck with a higher tier of membership that frankly isn't there yet. For an extra €20 or $30, players will get access to 2 things on launch day: Nintendo 64 and Sega Mega Drive/Genesis games for Nintendo Switch Online. Later on November 5th, the Animal Crossing New Horizons Happy Home Paradise DLC will become the third wheel in this whole ordeal. The real question is here: is there somebody who loves Animal Crossing, wants to play Nintendo 64 games, and doesn't have a viable way to play Mega Drive titles? Some of us absolutely tick those 3 boxes, but we can't imagine that the audience is particularly gigantic. With Happy Home Paradise, it is clear that the expansion is absolutely massive, and getting that in addition to retro games is a big deal. That being said, would you rather pay for the paid downloadable content outright to simply own it instead of stream it? Our personal bet is that a lot of dedicated Animal Crossing fans will prefer this particular option. Basically, never lose your rights to the DLC Island Paradise, as this will be part of your system's rights. Naturally, there is a flip side to this. This downloadable content won't last you forever, and everything unlocked in your personal town still stays there, regardless if you stay subscribed or not to the expansion pack. If it is clear that we won't need the DLC in a year from now, it is barely a harm to subscribe and reap additional benefits along the way. And it is clear that Nintendo has no other intention, as in a response to a question by Eurogamer said the following. Quote, "Players can still continue to access certain things they have unlocked in Animal Crossing New Horizons Happy Home Paradise on their main island, including adding counters, partition walls, as well as adding ambient lighting and soundscapes, even if their access to the Animal Crossing New Horizons Happy Home Paradise is suspended. However, it will not be possible to visit the archipelago if players lose access to the DLC. To be able to visit the archipelago and take on requests of designing vacation homes again, you will need to purchase the DLC separately or renew the Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack membership." End quote. And yes, we also checked with Nintendo support and got the same answer as you can see from the screenshot on the screen. So it is clear you wouldn't particularly lose much, even more if you're quite active during that year's membership. It is all about optics, and deciding what is best for you isn't easy. Once again, in the best scenario, you and your friends have a family plan and you would barely have to spare a thought. Some players do not see a need for retro games, might be better off just purchasing DLC and use it any accounts they deem to see fit. The bigger problem we see, as previously mentioned, is how the expansion pack is designed to force people not interested in playing Animal Crossing to pay for DLC content that they will never use, most likely to a game that they don't own and will never purchase. And the fact that there isn't a cheaper option that doesn't include the DLC is baffling. And no, this isn't the same as PlayStation Plus, as there you get full games, not DLC, where you still have to pay full price for the game if you don't own it. Obviously, most of us are interested in playing Nintendo 64 games on our systems. In regards to those retro games, the selection right now sadly doesn't seem massive. From the reactions online, people are more interested in the Nintendo 64 titles than the Mega Drive ones. But that doesn't mean that there aren't some absolutely stellar games present. On the Nintendo 64 side, we have at launch Super Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, Star Fox 64, Yoshi's Story, Zelda Ocarina of Time, Winback, Mario Tennis, Dr. Mario 64, and Sin and Punishment. And on the Mega Drive / Genesis flip side, there is Castlevania Bloodlines, Contra Hardcore, Echo the Dolphin, Golden Axe, Gunstar Heroes, Musha, Phantasy Star 4, Rice Star, Shinobi 3, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Streets of Rage 2, Strider, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, and Shining Force. Most of these games are pretty fantastic, but the Mega Drive feels undercut by the fact that there are multiple ways to play these Sega classics. There is a stellar collection on Nintendo Switch that bundles a bunch of them together. There is the excellent Mega Drive Mini, and while not ideal, tons of at-game devices. Some unique releases are needed to make Mega Drive / Genesis feel important, like maybe Mega Man The Wily Wars, even though that would be a big call to make. Similarly, the Nintendo 64's selection, while stacked, is missing some immediate banger titles to make it a hit that must want status. Games like Paper Mario, Kirby 64, Majora's Mask, and Banjo-Kazooie are promised, but who knows when they will come to the service? 2 months? 4? 6? Maybe 10 months from now? There is a reason to be concerned for the output, as Nintendo's track record of adding more retro content for the NES and SNES portions of Switch Online have been less than ideal. So, it is hard to give them really the benefit of the doubt. They must be willing to put that effort into it. Give us the titles we need on both ends, and make the experience from top to bottom worth it in the first 12 months. Finally, we have to ask, what does the future of the expansion pack hold? The addition of Animal Crossing DLC seems like a good trick at first, just how you got extras for Splatoon 2 and the Battle Royale titles in the basic plan. The interest, however, will fall over time, and Nintendo can't afford the same mistake they did with the basic plan. They can't give the assumption of spectacular additions later and simply not deliver on that promise. The pricing now comes dangerously close to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and PlayStation Plus, which offer a lot more and a far better online gaming experience on a year-to-year basis. The idea of a selection is nice, but they need to follow up monthly with what they are going to add, particularly when it comes to those classic titles. Maybe they can expand their game trials program, allowing players to play more games and for a longer period. Maybe more actual downloadable content will come to the service, in addition to being normally available for purchase. Maybe those rumored Game Boy titles are coming quicker than we are currently expecting. Whatever those long-term ideas are, their starting shot leaves a bit too much to be desired. Hopefully, they will win us over in the extent of the race. That race being these coming 12 months. But what do you think about all of this, and in particular, if streamable DLC will not only be attached to Animal Crossing, but also the new Kirby, Splatoon, Bayonetta, and Zelda games scheduled for 2022? Sound off in the comments section down below. If you haven't already, then be sure to share this video, press that like button, subscribe to Commonwealth Realm, and press that notification bell to not miss any of our upcoming Nintendo Switch Online, Animal Crossing DLC, Zelda, and so many other videos. Finally, a big thanks as always to our great patreon.com/commonrealm patrons, and in particular to our royal producer, Charles Sash. You rock, and please enjoy one or both of these awesome videos. Want my money on the double, want my money on the double, want my money on the double.